Phylum Mollusca. The general characteristic of Phylum Mollusca is most of them are marine, some inhabit freshwater and some terrestrial. They are soft-bodied animals but mostly protected by a hard shell. Mollusca means soft bodies. They are protostomes with bilateral body symmetry, a tubular gut, and do not possess any segmentation. They are second largest invertebrate group. Features in common between them. Head. They have well-developed head with eyes and tentacles. Dorsal shell. It composed of calcium carbonate. Mantle. It is thin sheet of tissue with glands. It acts to secrete calcium carbonate. Broad and fleshy foot. It is for locomotion. Canidia or gills. It is for respiratory organ. Radula, a gasping tongue-like structure. It is for feeding. There are four major classes of mollusks. The first classes is Polyplacophora. Polyplacophora consist of chitons. The second classes is Gastropoda. Gastropoda consist of snails and slugs. The third classes is Bivalvia. Bivalvia consist of clams, oysters, and bivalve. The fourth classes is Cephalopoda. Cephalopoda consist of squid, cuttlefish, octopus, and chamber nautiluses.
Class Polyplacophora. Chitons. Chitons contain girdle, shell plates, pouch, foot, anus, gills, pallial groove, and mantle girdle. The chiton is protected by 8 plate shells covering their dorsal body. Their lack of eyes and tentacles, and when disturbed, the muscles in the foot will pull the body mass down, creating a great vacuum suction power against the rock.
These are chitons, intertidal mollusks found throughout the world. Like their relatives, the snails and slugs, they're slow, and typically not much bigger than a couple of inches. Valves. 8 separate and visible protective shell plates covering the back of all chitons. Here the muscular foot, its means of locomotion, is surrounded by delicate gills and fleshy grooves for respiration. Like on other chitons, the gills can be protected by folding the girdle in on itself if the gumboot is dislodged from its rock by rough surf, which is not uncommon. The chiton's diet of algae and marine vegetation is ingested via the mouth at the front of the chiton's body using a specialized retractable organ called the radula. Like a tongue, but lined with rows of teeth, the radula scrapes algae and other food items off rough surfaces for consumption.
Class Gastropoda. Class Gastropoda is a major molluscan group. Gastropod means belly food. It is the way mollusk food spreads out when it crawls. This describes the way in which the body and internal organs of slugs and snails has been twisted back so that the stomach lies above the large, fleshy foods of these animals. The head is at one end of this food. The snail or slug moves by gliding along a surface of mucus or slime that is produced from glands on the food. They have coiled shells that functions as a backpack for balancing. The characteristics of gastropods are They live in marine, freshwater, or terrestrial. Their head is present. They have a symmetrical body, usually with coiled shell. Their food is used for locomotion. Most gastropods are hermaphrodites, which means that each animal has both male and female reproductive organs in the same body. When two individual snails or slugs meet, they exchange bundles of sperm, usually via a dart into the tissue of the other. Eggs are then usually laid in crevices in the soil or under rocks, while some species may give birth to leaf. Herbivores and scavengers feed on fungi, dead animal material, and plant matter such as leaves, stems, bulbs, and algae. They feed by using a radula, which is a tongue-like structure covered by rows of rasping teeth. They have a well-developed head with eyes and one or two pairs of tentacles. Twisting and detwisting of gastropods. Before torsion, during torsion, after torsion. Torsion is a gastropod synapomorphy which occurs in all gastropods during larval development. Torsion is the rotation of visceral mass, mantle, and shell 180 degrees with respect to the head and foot of the gastropod. This brings the mantle cavity and anus to an anterior position above the head. Snails. Sea slugs. Limpets. At low tide, limpets climb down to stay moist and keep breathing. Muscular food helps them hang on. When the tide comes in, they scour rocks for algae.
Class Bivalvia. The examples of class Bivalvia are clams and oyster. Class Bivalvia. Bi means two, so a bivalve has two protected shells. They can burrow in the sand to disappear from predators. They are suspension feeder. They trap the food particles in sea water. A bivalve has two openings called siphon. When a bivalve consumes food, the food will be trapped by mucus that's secreted by gills. Then the food will move by cilia on the gills. Then the food will move to the mouth. The two openings called siphons are exhalent siphon and inhalent siphon. Waste excreted out through the exhalent siphon, while water and suspended food drawn in through the inhalent siphon.
Lastly is the class Cephalopoda. Under this class, we can have squids, octopus, nautilus, and also cuttlefish. Here are some examples of the animals under the class of Cephalopoda: nautilus, octopus, cuttlefish, and also squids. Moving on to the evolutionary experiment with the molluscan body. Firstly is the body. The body have tentacle and break-like jaw, which is modified for the active predatory lifestyle. It also lack of calcium carbonate shells on the body. Secondly is mouth. The mouth has two strong beaks, which is used to kill prey and tear them into pieces. Thirdly is the mantle. The mantle is thick, muscular, fitted with tunnel-like siphons. By filling the cavity with water and ejecting it through the siphon, the cephalopods can move by the jet proportions. Fourth is extra adaptation. They can have a locomotion by jet propulsions. They also able to change color to confuse the predator. They also can discharging dark fluid from an insect. Lastly, it support a greater activity. By the circulatory system is closed one. Hence, their nervous system is well developed with a large brain. Their eyes could form an image, causing learning and memory possible.